Yes, look, I think the advice from Kim is very good. Once you establish those things, obviously being rebranding specialists, one of the things that we focus on very strongly is a brand. The question to ask yourself is, if you're going to invest all of this time and effort into your business or your entity, why would you invest that into something that there's no tangible representation of that? So if you were to say, well, I'll just invest it into my name, for instance, or Acme or ABC widgets, then that value is being invested into that entity. So if you build a strong brand, everything you do builds the value of that brand and your business. So there may come a day when, in fact, you don't actually want to be in that business, and then all of that value can then be on-sold. So building your brand and building the brand equity in that and the value in that is absolutely crucial. One of the things that I learned halfway through my career is, as I said, I started in television, so that was pretty much about coming up with a big idea. And it was always, what's the next great idea that we can do? What's the next great television commercial we can come up with? And so I used to put all of our efforts into developing these ideas, and having a creative background, obviously that's where creatives focus. But what I learned is that a big idea without being tied to brand is really like building foundations on sand. The brand is not, the idea is not established onto anything, it's not held down by anything, so it just floats away and disappears. So you've got to come up with another big idea and another big idea. So this is where creatives burn out, because they're constantly having to come up with ideas. So I learned very quickly for self-survival that the better thing to do is to actually come up with an idea that is actually tied to brand, and in fact the idea is your brand. So once you establish your marketing plan, you tie that to something. Rather than just having a piece of paper that sits there that you have to keep reinforcing to everyone, your clients and your staff, your brand is the physical representation of the marketing plan that you've just spent all of that time producing.
How many people in the room have got some kind of Apple product they own? Jeez, 90% of the room. Why did you buy it?
Cool.
What's that?
They're very cool.
They're very cool. Perfect response. Thank you, Nicole. You didn't buy it because you did the analysis of all the features and benefits compared with all the other products and features and benefits and pricing analysis that's out there, did you? You kind of went, geez, I've got to have that MacBook Air. I've got to have that iPad. What's all that about? That's about the value of a brand. But coming back to you, Wayne, okay, most of the people in this room don't have a marketing budget or wouldn't have a marketing budget to be able to do TV and that sort of stuff. So how does a small business build a brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the single biggest question I get is usually small business owners are time poor, and they tend to be people who are doing just about every aspect of their business. And so investing money in the brand is often something that the two things I always hear is, I'm either too small to have a brand or I don't have enough money to have a brand. The reality is that you have a brand regardless as to whether you invest in it or not. And your brand can start with as little as having the way you answer the phone or the way you dress when you go to an appointment. It doesn't necessarily have to have a physical presence. It can start with anything. It's the way you conduct your business. But at some point, people will look to actually get all of those qualities, all of those intangible qualities, and you hear people talking about the intangible aspects of brand, and there's a lot of rhetoric around that and a lot of conversation around that, and that can go on forever. There's a lot of intellectualising about it. The important thing is it has to be based in something, and that basis is your identity and is then the brand language that comes out of that.
In terms of putting together a marketing plan, how important is social media and SEM and SEO? We all kind of know as business owners, we all know we need more of it and we want some of it, but we don't necessarily know how much we should spend on it how we should use it, which elements that we should apply, whether in fact we should invest in Pinterest now, for example.
It all stems back to where your market is. A lot of people come to me and ask me, should I be using Twitter, should I be using Facebook because everybody else is? My question to them usually is that where people are actually seeing you, and is that where your market is? Now Facebook has an interesting demographic. They're all majority of women between the ages of 25 and 65. So if you're in the baby market, you're in a market where you're selling to women who are procuring those services, it's actually a great place. So photographers find that a great avenue. And it's really understanding and using those channels effectively. So I would definitely claim, in terms of your marketing plan, claim the channels, all those channels that are available so you have it for future use. So even if you're not using Twitter or Pinterest, go and claim it. So you've got it a part of your arsenal. And then down the track...
Go and claim it, what does that mean?
So basically register. It's like making sure your business name is registered so someone else doesn't turn up and take your name just because you said who you were. So basically register your name and keep it a part of your brand, so to speak. And you can use that down the line once you've developed it and you understand how the market's changed. Now the market online changes very quickly. What worked 2 years ago doesn't really work now. And it's a constant evolution. And that's why one of the things that I have to stay ahead of is always testing and measuring what's happening in the market. Because what worked in advertising, especially in certain markets with the GFC, the way people look for example like bike finance online, they might not actually do it the same way they did 2 years ago, where they actually walked into a bank. Now everybody's looking for it online and they're happy to have someone contact them about it.
And do I put money into search engine optimization or do I put money into search engine marketing?
Okay, so what I would do is search engine marketing or Google AdWords, let's say that's what it is. You can test the market from pretty much $500. You can test and see what is getting you the customers or the traffic. And then once you know that, you can then take that information of all that good information you've gathered from that exercise and actually have a really good plan to do your search engine optimization. Which is actually what people do is, so if people don't understand, the optimization of a website or of particular words online is to be found without getting paid for it, where the top 3 ads actually, people pay for it in Google.
So basically, what are the 5 key things that we should have as a business? And by the way, what's Pinterest?
Okay, Pinterest is a bit like a Facebook, but in terms of it's all about sharing pictures. So people share pictures, they post pictures and video, yeah. And so it's kind of evolved. And people, one of the things why it does so well is people actually love looking at pictures and videos, and so it actually does really well in that respect, and that's why it's had a good response.